Jim Patterson joins us. Hi, Jim.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, good to talk to you. Assemblyman Jim Patterson, 23rd Assembly District in the California State Assembly. And he was, last time we spoke about the high-speed rail accountability bill, because Jim said, you know what, this is insanity, what they're getting away with here. And then, Jim, since I've talked to you, this construction deadline has been pushed back 4 years, and it's been kind of saved, which made me crazy. Why did this happen? How did this happen? And what do we do?
Well, it looks like the Obama administration's aiding and abetting Governor Brown, and it just appears that facts don't much matter anymore. Remember, we were sold the bill of goods that the federal government was going to come in with stimulus money, right? Because this is going to be shovel ready and everything was going to be in the ground quickly and lots of people would be working, et cetera. Well, we now know that this was not a shovel ready project, that the operational plans and the manner in which they've executed and the activities of the High-Speed Rail Authority have just been out of control, and we are seeing it. The more time goes by and the more details we get, the more we realize that this thing is just out of control, and they're making it up as they go along. They turn south one time, and then they replan, and then they go north. They braid the rails up in San Jose and call it high-speed rail. They're way past their deadlines, and they don't have any money to complete the project. So,
in a real world, if this was the private sector, this thing would have been stopped a long, long time ago. There'd be lawsuits flying. There'd be people. I mean, the mess that would happen in the real world, because this is politics. It's so this is one of those things that's so glaringly wrong. Do I want to put people to work? Yeah. Could high-speed rail be a great opportunity? Do they use it in Europe? Yeah. Do they use it in Japan? Yeah. Is this ever going to work? No. Everything's wrong. Everything is wrong about it. The fact it's never going to be high-speed rail. The fact that they haven't bought the land that they're going to buy, and it's going to take them forever to buy the rest of the land. And then what happens is the administration comes in and says, we're going to move it back 4 years. You're not going to lose your funding from us. And by the way, just speed it up a bit, okay? Wink, wink, nod, nod, and that's it?
Well, I think there's, and I'm not sure because we haven't seen all the detail coming out, but I actually think that there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, and it may come out as we open up the kind of documentation and the kind of conversation back and forth between the Brown administration and high-speed rail and Obama. But I think behind the scenes, I think there is real serious concern by the rail authority that they can't even spend the money fast enough to qualify for it in the first place. I think there's real heartburn. So I think part of this is the upfront is we'll kick the can down the road 4 more years. We'll cut them some slack there. But I think underneath all of that is this is a way to get them out from underneath the problem of the high-speed rail reneging on the requirements of the money that's coming from the Fed. So I call it aiding and abetting. And I think it's going to get worse the more we open up the high-speed rail authority to the bright light of oversight. And I think that's what's happening. I don't think you can explain any other way why my bill for transparency and oversight sailed out of the Democrat-controlled legislature. It was on consent. The big question is going to be what happens when it gets to the governor. Is he going to admit that there is oversight and that there's responsibility here for a project gone sideways, or will he veto it? So look, the drama is still unfolding.
Well, and it's huge drama. This one hurts my head so much, and it must yours too, Jim. If they're getting $500 million a year from state greenhouse gas fees, you got another $1 billion federal grant approved in 2010. Yep. But you're looking right now, and the numbers are all fake anyway. So I might as well drop trow and pick a number. But they're saying about $43.5 billion shortfall. And then when you ask the head of the project, the guy who's in charge, his answer really is, and I'm not making this up, we'll find it somewhere, we found it before, some like angels.
I know that. He said that. He has said that to me in hearings. It is as if magic, some secret a stash of cash somewhere shows up. It is, and I think what is so aggravating about this, you said it earlier, no one if there was oversight, responsibility, or adults in charge of this project, nobody would be letting this go forward under these kinds of circumstances. They would see the problems, and they would do the right kind of thing. If this was private, as you mentioned, there would be market, investor, and oversight being looked at how this money is being spent, and is there any possible way that we can get a return on investment? Look, we are the bank of last resort. The taxpayers in the state of California are the bank of last resort now, and we should be the ones, through the legislature and frankly through our governor, be willing not to play politics or try to build some kind of phony baloney legacy, but to do the right thing by the taxpayers. Because the consequence of this, when it fails miserably because it's $40 billion short, is that we're going to end up spending a lot of money on I guess, sort of a marginalized improvement on Amtrak in Central California. I don't know how in the world they connect it on both ends. If without the private money, they can't even do it.
Jim, here's the deal. We're not even talking yet about tunneling through the mountains, which I read, and I'm a layman, said it's the most industrious project in history. No one has ever done tunneling into fault lines. So they picked a fake number about what it would cost. They picked a fake scenario on how they're going to do it and accomplish it. They picked a fake scenario on the equipment they're going to have to do it. And they picked a fake time frame on how they're going to complete it. They made it up. It's never been done. And I've talked to experts who say it is so above what anyone has done before.
We talked about this.
It's fantasy.
Before.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's fantasy. So,
nobody except the people that the High-Speed Rail Authority are paying to say so believe what the High-Speed Rail Authority is saying. Nobody else who's ever done anything like this, ever financed anything like this, ever dug any tunnels like this, they're all saying this is fantasy, except for those that are getting taxpayer money to say so on behalf of High-Speed Rail. It is a farce.
So then let me ask you this, because it's in people's best interest to keep this going, because there are quite a few people making big coin right now. I'm talking to Assemblyman Jim Patterson. How do you get to the governor, who obviously on this one thing doesn't care? He's not stupid. You show him the wasted money. You show him the fact that they've changed the route. They've taken miles out of the route because they have to Mickey the numbers because they can't afford the numbers. They're not coming to Burbank anymore. They're starting in the middle of nowhere. How do you get to the for me, it's about results. What do you do to get the governor's attention? Do people call? Do they write letters? Does he care?
Well, I first of all, I think we're feeling the heat, and I think that's why you're seeing Democrat members joining with Republicans in passing really an overwhelming oversight bill with respect to the finances. Give us the data. This has got to rise or fall on the truth, not on politics, and it was unanimously out of the legislature. If the governor doesn't hear that signal, he's probably deaf to it. But I think that we do this the way we always do things, which is to redress the government for grievance. We use opportunities like this to let people know that there are problems. Your elected representatives are easy to locate, to find them. You can talk to the governor's office. I mean, I don't know whether it does any good. My experience with this particular governor is that he is selective in his use of what he proudly suggests is his fiscal conservancy. I mean, you're not fiscally conservative. You're not prudent with taxpayers' money if, on the one hand, you might say, oh, slow down, let's not spend so much money. On the other, blow through billions on a project that every time you turn around is looking more and more like a black hole where billions of dollars will go and no real tangible results will be achieved. But I don't know how you shake.
I mean, that's the end result. I know we talked to Stuart Flashman, who's got the lawsuit, which I thought would proceed and do well, and yet a judge let this limp along and spend even more money. And then with your accountability, Bill, what are you going to be able to overturn? What is that actually going to do?
Well, first of all, they're going to have to put a business plan together that's actually a business plan. They can't just come to us with this phony baloney reporting. We want to know the schedule. We want to know the timing. We want to know the rates. We want to know where the financing is. It is a tool which shines the light. They can't wiggle out from underneath it. And the legislature, I think, is setting itself up to either be the watchdog on this or be hypocritical. So I think, look, it's the best tool so far that I've been able to put together.
Oh, and I appreciate it. But what happens, here's my fear. They've been able to Mickey this for so long and BS us for so long that with your accountability bill, you're going to demand some oversight, and we need some numbers by this date. If they miss the deadline, or you find out that they're nicking the numbers, what is your recourse at that point?
I have tried on this. This is the best I could do given the legislature, but I've had a couple of bills on this that the legislature killed in the first committee that it saw, which was going to put the High-Speed Rail Authority people under oath, that we would have subpoena authority, bring them in front of the hearing, and they would have to swear under the penalty of perjury that they're giving us the truth. The only way that the legislature really is going to get to the bottom of this is to utilize the kinds of tools that are given to us by the people for the purposes of oversight. If they're not willing to do it, then frankly, the best thing I can do is to try to, get something that will actually.
And I hear, it's funny. I'm laughing because I'm laughing out of frustration that I hear in your voice, because you see how absurd this whole thing is, and all you're trying to do is say, give me the gazintas, guys. Let's get real and either put an end to this or show what it really is instead of this nonsense.
Yeah, I really do think that it is. This is a put-up time for the governor and for the legislature. There is too much information, there's too much evidence now that this thing really is out of control. And really, he's got a choice. You either chase this rabbit down this hole, or you shoot it dead.
Yep, and you were there.
And you got to the leadership has to decide to lead. And when something is so apparent, so self-evident, then frankly the governor owes it to the people who sent him to that office, and we in the legislature owe it to the people who sent us to stop it and say, you can't go on with these lies. This isn't what we
and it's actually
what we voted.
It's exactly what it is. It's a lie on every level, and it sets a precedent for bond issue. People won't vote for bond issues because they know that what's going to happen is you don't get what you voted for. So, all right, it's just going to get us both before the weekend a lot of agita. Thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for staying on top of this.
Appreciate it. Well, I also thank you and your listeners and all, because you have been, and your listeners have been, very helpful in putting some heat on legislators, and we at least got them on the record on an accountability bill. First time I've ever heard accountability connected with high-speed rail.
And we're going to try and continue and hold their feet to the fire.
We appreciate it.
Well, it's their money. It's billions and billions out of their pocket.
And one more thing.
Yes.
One more thing. Every dollar billions of dollars you pour down the rat hole here, that's less money to do the fundamental things that we've got to do, which is to improve our streets, roads, highways, and our ports. I mean, you folks in Southern California, come this winter, because of policies going on up here in Sacramento, you're going to see brownouts and blackouts. I think the port of Long Beach and L.A. may slow down. I think the electrical grid is under some real duress down there for a lot of political reasons. That's what bad decision-making will cost real people. And when you throw billions of dollars and you take $500 million in cap and trade that's supposed to go back to the people who paid for it, to mitigate the cost of trying to improve transportation and all these things, it doesn't happen that way. It's the biggest example of the failure of leadership, and it is permeating all of the other divisions and departments.
Well, this is the highway theft. It's horrible. Assemblyman Jim Patterson, 23rd Assembly District. Yeah, thank you very much.